Okay. Well, welcome to the meeting of the Heritage and Townscape Committee for the 4th of October 2023. And the first item is apologies for absence.
No apologies, Chair.
Right, thank you. Declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interests from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda. Any declarations of interest? No. Item 3, co-optees. The town clerk to share a verbal update on potential co-optees. And the committee is invited to agree that a representative of the Sandwich Environment Conservation Group is co-opted to their Heritage and Townscape Committee. Attachment 1. So, town clerk, would you like to?
Thank you. Yes. So just briefly, I've been in contact with 2 representatives of the Sandwich Environmental Conservation Group to discuss potential co-option to the Heritage and Townscape Committee, and they're both of the opinion that they felt it would be better if it was a person from the group appointed, so not an individual but the actual a representative of the group rather than an individual. So that's what I've put together on this report for you. So hopefully that's something you will consider. And if it is, then obviously you can agree this evening to co-opt a representative from the Sandwich Environmental Conservation Group to join, and this is not one named individual, although there is particularly one individual that is likely to be here more than anyone else. Thank you.
Yes. Councillor Carter, then Councillor Black.
I think that's an excellent idea. I'd like to propose that we go ahead with co-opting a unnamed member of the Sandwich Environmental Conservation Group to join this committee. So I'll put that forward as a very strong proposal. That's fantastic.
Thank you. I'll do that. Councillor Black, and then
How are they going to have any sense of continuity if they go this way? I would have thought one of the issues we have in this town is a complete lack of continuity in certain cases. So I'm a bit puzzled as to how, if a different person could turn up at every meeting, which this implies, how's that going to work?
well, my view is that that's their problem. It's not so much our problem. If they want an input into this committee, which clearly they do, and which we would welcome, then their problem is the one of continuity, and they will have to make certain that if a co-opted person on this committee from their group says something, that if another person turns up, that they're in agreement. I mean, that's their problem. That's my view. Councillor Carson.
I put my proposal forward, Councillor Black, because I'm a member of the group myself. I'm co-opted to the group, but it's they've got a very strong communications policy. So they use emails, and they have a WhatsApp group, and they've actually got they have regular meetings. So it's discussed daily, if not weekly, all the different issues and matters that concern them. So, as the chair said, it's up to them to designate what their questions and answers will be to this committee. So, but they've got a very strong communications policy.
Chair.
Yes.
I agree with Councillor Black. I think it should be one person nominated by the group. But I don't think we've ever had this group representative before. I think it should be one person that follows it through, because I mean, it could be a different person. If there's 10 people on their committee, we could get one or take turns of coming, couldn't they? So I think we need continuity.
Right.
Person.
Well, would you like to put forward that motion?
We've got
Councillor Frank, and then
Councillor
that's true. Yeah. So do I have a seconder for?
Sorry, can I just vary it slightly? If we do go down the route of one person, why don't we say a person with a nominated deputy? So we give them 2, and then if that person doesn't come, we know that the other person is. That would just be my suggestion, just to slightly modify it.
I do that.
Okay. So would you be happy with that amendment?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if that's what it was. It's just I do know how busy they are. They're quite, they're all working people. So it's very good. But if there was one nominated and one was a deputy, that'd be fine.
What does
Yes,
I agree with yourselves. I think that they're going to share the same aims and goals and ideas. You know, and that will be reflected in their representation. I think that they're so relevant now that we have that representation that it's okay to come from the group, not the individuals. I think the individuals become a bit irrelevant personally.
Well, we have a proposal for an amendment to the original motion. That is that it should be that the SECG should send a nominated person, an individual, but that they should nominate a deputy for that individual. So can we vote on that? If we've got a second, have we got a second after that?
I'll second that as well.
Okay, so that's Councillor Chuka, presumably, or Councillor Black has proposed it.
Yes.
Is that?
Well, I questioned the logic, and then my colleague here decided to put it much more eloquently, and then we've got a slightly modified one.
Okay.
So I'm happy with the modified one.
Councillor Super.
Okay, so I'll propose.
Okay, and accepted by Councillor Franklin. So can we vote, those in favour of having nominated a representative from the SECG with a nominated deputy, please vote in favour.
You're not, no, one? Sorry, it's difficult without the cards.
The
Is
chair
it 1, 2,
voted.
3?
No.
Is that 3? 3 in favour.
Okay, and those against?
Is there an alternative proposal?
Okay.
Sorry, how many against? I didn't count.
We need to vote against that amendment.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 against.
Okay.
That's fine.
And then the motion proposed by Councillor Carter is that we simply agree to having a representative from the group, and it's up to them who they.
Indeed, who they send
turns
along,
up.
because I strongly believe, first of all, we need somebody from this group on this committee. That is essential, and from my understanding, the communication and the network is good enough for that, so I wouldn't question them at all. So.
Okay, does somebody want to second that? So that's seconded by Councillor Tomlins. So those in favour of that motion, please vote.
7. Thank you.
And those against?
2. Thank you. Carried.
Yes. So item 4 is the minutes of the Heritage and Townscape Committee. To receive the minutes of the Heritage and Townscape Committee held on the 11th of September 2023, and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in this agenda and its attachment 2. Yes, Councillor Chuka.
I'm not going to apologise, but I have got a list.
I'm sure.
A little one?
Unfortunately, I was growing by the meetings. So, going back, turn our minds back to June. There was an action we had, which was the location of the VIC, and we talked about it at the last meeting. Suggested then that ahead of it going to STC, it would almost certainly go into the tourism forum. Does anybody know what's happening with regards to tourism forum? Have I missed something?
Due to limited resources, I don't have the capacity. That is something that is coming now to the top of the priority list, I can assure you. And my plan is that goes to the 30th of October STC meeting, unless other priorities come in.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
And I apologise.
Can I just ask the town clerk, so that what will come to the October 30th meeting of the town council will be the terms of reference?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, and you'll be drafting those?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
From the same meeting, we had the. Yeah, sorry.
May I
Yes.
just ask a question? Because I fully appreciate town hall's incredibly busy, but we have now lost something like 3-4 months without tourist group. I don't know why I'm doing that. And we now have no, there won't be anything really that anyone can do leading up to Christmas, which okay, you can say the shops or the businesses might be busy in December, but we've had September, October, November, they're not particularly good trading months. And someone's got to get this together and start, and then January, February, March, which will be absolutely awful. And I know, having spoken to some of the businesses, that they're already very, very concerned about what happens to trade. And it isn't just tourism per se, it is what the tourism and those people coming into the town do for our businesses, and that's the thing that really bothers me.
Yes, I don't think anybody's got any doubt about the importance of tourism and developing tourism in the town, but I think we have to accept that other things have shifted priorities, and that it is now, as the town clerk says, a top priority to get this going. And I would say that the town clerk I know will be reporting on some efforts that she's been putting in, and it's actually been noticeable. I don't know if you've noticed that there have been YouTube films and all sorts of things happening. So I think it's not that nothing's happening and that everything's gone on hold because we haven't yet put up the tourism forum. But I do take your point. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Crosby.
Yeah, if I sort of really make it quite clear that in May, 5 members of staff walked out of those doors and they never came back. Two of them were retiring, but I want to make this clear to the public.
Yeah.
We were down to literally a temporary town clerk and a responsible financial officer and 1 caretaker, and that is all we have had. And since I've brought Jill in, she's absolutely worked her socks off, and I've had to tell her to stop working at 10 o'clock at night. She's currently working on a Thursday from something like 6 in the morning to, depending on meetings, 8 or 9 o'clock at night. All I want to say is Jill's doing a fantastic job, so I just want to make sure that that's recorded on the record. I can tell you from the 24th of October, and it's through no fault of our own, another pair of hands is walking in the door and will be supporting the town clerk, and it's somebody that is very good at tourism and events, and we've made sure that we've got somebody that can cover that. So from the 24th of October, it's probably the wrong time of year, but there will be an additional pair of hands to assist.
And I wasn't making any slur whatsoever. I am very, very much aware of how busy the town clerk is, and what she does. I think I'm just raising from perspective of outside, and I'm glad you've done what you've done, because it is important to those people outside to know that this is not being pushed to one side or being forgotten, and isn't important to the town and the Sandwich Town Council. So that's why I raised it.
But could I also just briefly put on record for the public that the town team has done an absolutely fantastic job to try and promote tourism, and particularly Sandwich in Bloom, keeping the town looking really fresh and bright and colourful. So I'd just like to on record say thank you to those 2 entities, which I believe you head up as well, which have really helped the day. So thank you for that. So.
Okay.
Just reading on, and this isn't to expose anything other than just making sure that we keep these in view as actions that are important actions, I think. The key concept study, we brought that in for discussion back in June. A meeting was proposed with DDC inviting Nadeem Aziz, Roger Walton, Councillor Moorhouse, etc. To discuss the report and see progress. That's not happened so far, but I'm just going to say it's one of the proposed projects that we're going to discuss a bit later on, and I would suggest whoever project leads that needs to be within that meeting and probably could take ownership for setting up, possibly. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't lost. We had a couple of progress updates moving forward to September.
Yes.
There was the automatic payment facility for the disabled toilets of the quay. There was going to be a site visit by the operating company to determine the cost. Just a quick question whether that's happened and have we got a report back on that?
It hasn't happened, and I've chased 4 people that work at that Healthmatic company, and I haven't heard from anybody yet. I know they've read emails because I've had brief receipts from the emails.
Okay, thank you. The wall at the cinema, and this was just really, there's a possibility whether we as a committee would want this to actually transfer to the Finance and General Services Committee. And we're slightly worried that we may be doing parallel activities because that committee will be sitting down to next meeting to go through a priorities list, one of which is assets management.
Right.
And obviously the cinema is an asset,
Yes.
and any work on the wall probably needs to be as part of their assets management activity. But if you feel it should stay here, that's fine. But again, it's not moving at the moment, I believe, in terms of
Yes.
activity.
There is movement. There is movement. So I
Not
have
in the wall, I
spoken.
hope.
No. So I spoke to the Heritage Officer at
Yeah.
Derby District Council, and she said my first step is to get the building control team to look at the wall,
Yeah.
because there are other walls that collapsed last year that were looking nothing leaning or anything, and that one hasn't moved. So she said the first step is to get building control in to have a look at it, because they might say actually there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
So you know, from a structural point of view, that's the first protocol. Obviously, if there is something wrong, they will condemn it. That will be what will happen.
Yeah.
And then that's when we can look at the options. But I think that is the first thing to do. And she's assured me she's going to contact the building control department and ask them to go out and do a site visit.
And should we consider moving it across to finance and general purposes? Because I think it probably is better suited there.
It doesn't really
I'm
make
happy to lose it. I'm very interested in the wall at the cinema.
Yes.
If you want to hold on to it, that's fine, but I'm just saying,
Maybe I should have declared a non-pecuniary interest, because a friend lives in the house behind the cinema, and you know, it's a worry.
Yeah.
That wall.
I think it might be better to just leave it with us for the time being.
Hmm?
I think it would be better to leave it with us.
Yeah.
Do you? Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I think the town clerk should decide
yeah, that's fine.
personally which committee.
It doesn't really make any difference if you're not looking at expenditure here, you're just looking at the heritage aspect of it. I think obviously if there is any financial implications, that's when it will move to finance and general
Yeah.
services.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll come back to it.
Yeah, that's
as a
fine.
committee.
Jill, you were going to contact DDC in relation to payment of mooring fees, how much received, and access to toilet shower facilities. So there was an action around that. I don't think that's happened, do you know?
So access to the toilet shower facilities, yes, no, I haven't had that conversation yet, but that is again coming to the top of the priorities.
Opportunity for town trail and related matters. Agreed the town clerk would approach DDC Parks team and the Heritage Office to see if they're attending this meeting. It was suggested it might happen this meeting, but again, this is one of the proposed projects, so we'll be discussing that later in the meeting, I believe.
Yes,
Okay.
but I know you have
yeah.
something to report on that.
Only that I haven't had the opportunity to invite them to this meeting, but it's certainly on the list
Next
because I'm in conversations with them now about other matters.
Okay, that's fine. We talked about the infrared camera at the last meeting, and Councillor Mallet and Councillor Carter are going to go and start some investigations on that. I don't know if you had a chance to do that. Not yet.
I did send something off to it was Walmer Parish Council,
Yes.
but I haven't heard back at the moment, so I don't know if they've got a town clerk or a temporary town clerk. As soon as I hear back, I'll bring it back to the committee.
Okay. Also, quotations, possible funding for addressing the issue with the bottom plaque of the memorial. Is that still in train?
So I have approached Kevin and Spencer to see if there's a quote that they can provide. Obviously, I'm not saying that you should go with that contractor, but I know they are specialised and they did the work initially. I haven't got that quotation yet, but I know also that actually included looking for some potential funding as well.
Yes, that's right.
So once I have the idea of the price, then I'll start looking at some funding opportunities.
And do we need 2 other quotes to that?
That's what I was going to suggest, but initially I just want to get an idea of the cost from Kevin and Spencer to look at the funding opportunities, and then I'll obviously progress to getting other quotes.
Yes.
And then just the final one was, and this is important in that between this meeting and the next meeting for the committee, these hearing sessions will have taken place, but there was an action for yourself, Jill, to share details of the Dover local plan, specifically when the sandwich might be discussed.
Yeah, that's going to the 30th of October STC meeting. That's what Councillor Anderson requested a report to council.
Thank you.
Okay. So, can we move to accepting these minutes?
I propose accepting the minutes, Chair.
Anybody second?
Yep.
Okay. Shall we all vote? Those in favour?
Thank you very much.
Oh, yes,
Oh, just initial, yes please. Thank you. Thank you. Just stay from the end as well, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. Oh, yes. Item number 5, public participation. A 20-minute session is set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting. Do we have any members of the
No
public?
requests.
No. Thank you. Item 6, street furniture for the Guildhall forecourt or square. We still haven't made up our minds what to call it. The town clerk to provide a verbal update in relation to additional street furniture for the Guildhall forecourt.
Thank you. So again, apologies, this hasn't had a firm conversation yet, but I have had a quick conversation with the project manager from Dover District Council last week. We are due to meet next week, so I should, by the next meeting, have some more firm information for everybody.
Thank you. I
So,
should, yes.
I ask, will that include the extra planters that they promised us?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just want to add that people are mystified by the, I know it's a notice board, but they don't
Yes.
know what it is.
Mhm.
Whatever that thing is,
Yeah.
beside the entrance to the museum.
Yeah.
And they want to know what it is. Somebody said to me, is that a locker? So, and it's serving no purpose at all.
No.
So is anything, we could replace it with a bin or something else more attractive?
I was going to ask Millie if she can come up with something to put in there that's relevant to the museum, because I think that would be a nice use of it. We've actually got a couple of notices on it at the moment.
Oh, have you?
Yes,
We have
yes,
this,
yes. But it's just a, you know, a short gap before we agree. But obviously that would come to STBF for approval.
Okay, yes, yes.
I know that Millie is considering doing something, but it needs to be weatherproofed because there's gaps around the edge,
Yeah.
so
Oh, so,
it can't just be an ordinary poster.
No.
yes, so it's,
Is that not originally going to be one of the electronic notice boards? Isn't that where that was, it was one to be situated somewhere on the forecourt? And I
is
thought
that
it,
on the plan?
well, it came up, this came up quite a few meetings ago, that the idea of having, actually, I know where it came up originally at the a meeting that Councillor Wiles
Yes.
took.
Yes.
And I thought when I first saw it that it was one that DDC had supplied, because I think at the time they were saying that they might be able to supply one or
No,
two,
it isn't.
including one at the station.
That's something that the Tourism Forum will have to look at.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Item 7, public conveniences. Attachment 3, town clerk to provide a report on the current situation in relation to managing public conveniences and to propose winter opening hours for consideration.
Thank you, yes. So obviously, as you know, the extension of the trial period on the key public conveniences is extended to the end of October. And we're rapidly approaching that period. So it is really for this committee to consider whether you think that the key public conveniences should remain open for the winter months, because obviously they've been closed previously. And if they are open, would committee think that it's a good idea to recommend that they're only open 9 AM until 4 PM to take account of the reduced daylight hours. They're currently unlocked at 9 o'clock and locked at 1700 hours. Both sites are inspected and cleaned throughout the day, but not staffed by members of staff. There is obviously a cost implication to the proposal that they remain open during the winter months in terms of consumables, utilities and staffing costs. I do know that we've had feedback at the Guildhall that the public appreciate the public conveniences being open and available, but in the winter months from the end of October, the opening hours, if they are going to remain open, I think should be 9 AM until 4 PM. Obviously with officers out doing cleaning after dusk is not ideal. So I've noted the cost implications which I've got from the responsible financial officer, and obviously this committee is recommending, if this is the case and you want to support this idea, so the recommendation is to recommend to council the public conveniences on the Sandwich Quay and Cattle Market remain open for the winter period from the 1st of November 2023 to the 31st of March 2024, with the reduced opening hours of 9 AM till 4 PM for 7 days a week. Obviously, if members feel that should be reduced or different, that's for you to take.
So Councillor Carter and then Councillor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, I think this is really essential, and if the money's in the budget, then I think we should use whatever money we've got to keep these open. I've been down the quay quite a lot of times on my own bicycle, and there's a lot of cyclists that get down the quay, not just at the weekends, during the week. And of course the other important thing is Sandwich is a dog-friendly town, and there's a vast number of dog walkers who walk out of the town towards the bay, of course along the quay. So it's a really essential service we're providing there, as well as of course for tourists who park up on the quayside. So I see it as being vital to the tourists. I mean, if as we said, if the tourists turn up and there aren't any facilities, then they go on to the next town. So if we can at least provide toilets where the two main car parking are, so I propose that we should go ahead with the recommendation, Chair.
No, really, I was just going to say exactly what Councillor Carter was going to say. It's important, particularly for the tourist element. We need that.
Yes. So we have, yes.
I think I'm concerned because this hasn't been budgeted for, is it? And can we afford it?
We have.
Because it used to be paid, didn't it? It was budgeted to be paid. And now it's open, isn't it, free? I just wonder, I think perhaps we should get a thing from the RFO that we can afford to do this.
We have a statement.
Yes.
We can afford.
It's got,
Yes.
because it's going to cost 7,223.
I know it's
Yeah.
going to cost, but I think
So
we're
it's-
budgeted for.
It appears to be the case that we have 13,847
Yeah.
pence in the
Whilst,
budget. So that will actually cover it.
Yeah.
yeah, so I will say that whilst I did, failing on my part, I haven't written down the specific figures, Jeff. I did go back to the overall budget.
Yeah.
What's been allocated for the year for the toilets, both toilets, is somewhere around 25k.
Yeah.
And the amount that's been asked for here on top of what's already been spent up to this point still leaves quite an amount of leeway. What it doesn't answer for me is necessarily the overall town council budget in terms of its state, but in terms of a funding line, there is more than sufficient money in there that's already allocated for the toilets.
Oh yes, that's okay. But we can't afford to overspend at the moment, can we? No. Okay.
Also, if I could just add, I mean, on what I said earlier, 5 people walked out of the doors of the Guildhall earlier, so we were not paying 5 salaries earlier in the year. So the RFO has told me that there has been a saving on the salaries budget, so we could always allow a budget transfer.
Okay, so we have a proposal, I think, from Councillor Carter, possibly seconded by Councillor Ripley, that we accept the recommendation that the public conveniences on the quay and the cattle market remain open for the winter period from 1st of November 2023 to 31st of March 2024, with reduced opening hours of 9 till 4 for 7 days a week. All those in favour, please vote.
Thank you.
8, visit Kent and Whitecliff's Countryside Partnership update. Town clerk to share a verbal report with the committee on her recent visit to Dover Museum and meeting with the tourism team exploring collaboration opportunities with Dover District Council.
Thank you, Chair. So I will get straight to the point. I did go over to Dover and met with the museum and tourism team. I met with Lucy, Debbie, and I also met with Sam subsequently to that meeting as well. She's actually come to Guildhall and met me here. So Debbie is the tourism and place manager. Then she's managed by, there's a senior officer called Lucy, and Samantha is the place marketing and communications officer. All of them assured me that they are doing things to assist Sandwich, so it's not, they don't concentrate on Dover and Deal only, they do include Sandwich, so it's across the district what they're working on. They do have a lot of different projects on the go, like a lot of departments, and I did pick up on the one about the Historic Town Trail. They are working on that, and they said it is slow progress, and they do apologise, but what's happening, whilst they're working with CAT, which is the company that are providing a lot of the images and information, the majority of the project is dependent on the availability of the staff, and they do try and fit in the editing, checking, image matching and captions when time permits. So it's something that has been delayed, but they're hoping it'll be early 2024 that would be coming to completion. So that's
Can I just ask a question? Is the Historic Towns Trail, is that a national scheme, or is that just something that Dover District Council is?
It's something that Dover District Council are working on.
Okay.
Yeah. So they said it is slow, and they were working on the Sandwich images week, the 11th of September. Literally, she said, I'm working on the Sandwich images. So it is going to be a Dover District project, but they're having to work on all parts of the district. It was really interesting to meet Samantha, and she had been the one that had got Abby King from Inside the Travel Lab. So this is an influencer that they pay to come and look around the towns, but they don't just give them one day itinerary, it's over 2 or 3 days normally. So she came and sent a link to her blog and video. If you haven't had an opportunity to see that, please contact me as well, and I'll happily share it with you. There was a YouTube video and a blog post. They also did a collaborative Instagram reel as well as a result of that. And both the posts and the video are mentioned in Abby King's newsletter, which goes to subscribers and shared across other social media channels. So it's not just Kent, it goes nationally. She said the content was a really lovely overview of the town, and I'm happy for me to share that with whoever is interested. So again, there was a little bit of a comment about lack of Sandwich promotion. So I think that's something that we could definitely work on with the tourism forum as well. And just some feedback from Abby as well. She said, amazed at how much there was to explore and the incredible history. And hopefully she had a lovely stone carving session with stonemason Carrie, a trip with the River Runner, tour of St Peter's and the Tower, visited Richborough Roman Falls and had a tour of the lovely museum at the Guildhall. And she spent some lovely time with Mike from the History Society. She did stay at St Peter's B&B, and she ate at the Bell and the Drill Hall. So that was really nice feedback from her. The other thing I've been trying to work with the Dover District on is accommodation, because obviously when people come to the Guildhall, sometimes they are looking specifically for accommodation, and we don't seem to have a very extensive list. I don't think there's a lot on offer. So I was asking Dover District if there is any opportunity to update lists, and they've said that obviously the way people search for accommodation has changed, and it's changed how they book as well. Now many people book via online platforms, but she said they're working with Visit Kent and other local authorities to look at how we can adapt the offering of working with non-accredited providers via an accommodation charter. So Dover District have an accommodation charter that they use. They list and work with providers that are either accredited via one of the schemes like AA, Visit England, Alistair Sordays, and those who agree to abide by the charter. There isn't a current list anymore, but they have a good supply of providers on their website. So that, again, this is something I want to work with them on, because I think that's an opportunity. If there are missing accommodation that we don't know about, let's share that for people that are offering that. They're also currently working on an accessible download which will include accommodation. When it's ready, they're going to be happy to share it. Okay.
Can I ask you?
Yeah, can I just, sorry, Councillor Zucker and then Mr George.
So really positive feedback, really good that you join up with Dover District Council. But I'd just like to flag up that one of the go-to places as a website is Sandwiches Open. And it's still running, and it has been running now for probably 2 to 3 months. A very stark statement on their front page. So when people land on it, they're told to not contact Sandwich Visitor Information Centre for help at our request. So I'd like to know whether we're doing anything to challenge this, because I'm sorry, 2 to 3 months of this message on there doesn't help anybody. And I'm not sure what it's trying to achieve, but maybe I don't know the story.
So I have made contact with the person that runs the page and made a formal request to have this updated. I haven't had a response.
When did you put in that request?
Quite a few weeks ago.
Right.
It's probably a month ago now.
Am I right in understanding that Sandwiches Open is a private business and by a private individual?
Yeah.
So that's not appropriate at all, is it?
Yeah.
So it's shocking.
I have another query, but I actually rang Dover District Council Whitecliffe's when I first saw that, and they knew absolutely nothing about it. This was the person in charge of the tourism area there.
Yeah.
Said they didn't know anything about it, and she'd come back to me. She didn't come back to me, but the person who is responsible for Sandwiches Open did come back to me, so she must have found out. And I was told that it was agreed by the officers at DDC that this could happen. And this was because we were too busy in Sandwich Town Council to deal with any inquiries, which I said was pretty ludicrous, because that was absolutely ridiculous. So that you're quite right, that was 2-3 months ago when we queried that, and it is still there, and it is very, very off-putting, and I really think it needs to be stopped. I mean, we've either got to say, find a way of getting that removed, or having a different message put onto it, because it is appalling. My other query there is with respect to the list of accommodation. I mean, Dover District Council told me in probably June or July last year that they had, I think they had a vast number, I can't remember exactly the number now, of B&Bs that were being advertised. And if you go onto the Airbnb's sort of website, it's got something like 50 to 60 Airbnbs advertised in Sandwich. And actually there's a bit of a problem here, because there are streets now in Sandwich where the only houses that are being bought for Airbnbs, which is doing nothing for our town. It's not helping our businesses, it's not helping the community, because these people come and go so quickly. The issue I raised with them was over rubbish, because if they're registered, they're not registered on Dover District Council's website, because if they were, they'd be classed as a business, and that being classed as a business, they're apparently allowed to get business rates, and if they get a business rate, they do have to pay for their own rubbish removal. But it means that Dover District Council actually have less income because the rate is lower. So it's a bit of a catch-22, quite frankly. And my problem was the amount of, someone's there for 3 days, they pop all their rubbish into a local rubbish bin, or they leave it outside, and the seagulls and the foxes tear it to pieces. So I think we've got to be really careful about this. I think Church Street, is it Church Street St Mary's that's only got 2 occupied houses? So, I mean, this isn't what we wanted. I know we don't have enough accommodation for tourists, that is an issue, but we've got to balance that, surely.
It's rather difficult for us to control, to whom the houses are sold.
It's definitely not Church Street St Mary's.
It's not, no, sorry.
It might be Short Street, but it doesn't matter.
But it's still a street in
It's
Sandwich.
one of them,
I agree entirely with what you're saying.
I wonder if some of those addresses are rooms within houses, because Airbnb isn't just individual addresses.
Apparently most of these are actual individual houses.
That's quite surprising.
Because people also own houses here as a second home, which the people who come down for golf.
Actually, I mean, obviously there are two issues here. Well, three issues. First of all, that we should thank the Town Clerk for the efforts that are currently being made and which she's initiated as far as tourism information is concerned, working with DVC. The second issue is about the Sandwich is Open Facebook page, website. And the third issue is about Airbnbs in the town. I think the third issue could become an issue that we look at when we're looking at the future work of this committee, and perhaps we should add it on. The second issue, which is what to do about this website, which I have to say I'm absolutely appalled about, and I think we all are. I don't know, I mean, we need perhaps some legal advice, or, you know, what can be done about it? I mean, it's so inappropriate, I nearly used another word, it's so inappropriate, and it's not true.
It's not as our instruction, the bottom line is we have not instructed that.
No. Councillor Black.
Where is the evidence that Sandwich Town Council or officers authorise this? And if it isn't there, take it down.
Yes,
Quite simple.
how do you do that?
Wait a minute, what is driven, this is the link with Dover Tourism. So Dover can very easily change theirs and say, well, sorry, no, that can't the contact. Whoever else is the contact. But if there is no authorisation minuted from this town council or the officers, take it out.
I mean, the claim was that we were missing out on about 100 hits a week from people who wanted to know about tourism in Sandwich. Now, whether one believes that or not, I don't know.
100 hits a week
With people asking about
on this website?
Originally, the original website, yeah.
On our website.
On our town council website?
No, on the original Sandwiches website.
So
The
100
Sandwich
people
was
a week
open,
are being told that,
Well, they now don't go there, they go straight to Dover.
It's not achieving anything in the sense of all it's doing is putting a statement, this is a negative statement, it's not promoting tourism, it's not promoting helping people engage with the town itself.
No.
All it's doing is putting a blocker in the way, and I just really don't understand the theory behind, the thinking behind why that should sit on there for months.
well, I think, I mean, the town clerk will have to find out
Yes.
what can be done
Yes.
to get this changed.
Yeah.
And report back to this committee or to the town council. I mean, it seems to be.
I think it should be on the town council.
Assuming this can be done fairly quickly, surely this committee can today authorise the town clerk, if we are within our legal limits, just make it, just to change it. Not wait for another report, but just change it.
How can we change somebody else's website?
No, because it's the Dover District Council website.
No, it's not. It's not. It's the Sandwich is Open website.
Private.
It's a privately
It's
run.
private.
Yeah, I know it's a private, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So the only link we have is into DDC, the contacts you've made, Jill, in terms of conversation with them. We shouldn't have misleading information being directed from them to them or vice versa.
But it's not coming
No,
from.
it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. I understand.
It's coming
I
from
understand.
Sandwich is
Yeah.
Open.
But I imagine they would have a concern that
They've got a
that's been saying in their
relationship.
name, because it's saying
Relationship.
Dover officers.
Yes.
So maybe they're not aware of it, but if they were
They
aware,
are
they would be
aware of it.
concerned.
Well, I was told that they were aware of it. They were
Well,
definitely aware
I
of it.
think the town clerk has to contact whoever it is at DDC.
And
That-
a joint note probably to the owner of that website.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And they-
And report back to the town council, the whole of this council.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But Chair, can I ask another thing? The town clerk was saying about the town tribe. I mean, we had the town trail, it was first done 1991, I believe, so 30 odd years ago. There's still a lot of posts up with fingerboards on that are missing and broken. I mean, would it be possible that they can replace those, you know, the broken ones, or,
Yeah.
and update the actual town trail?
We are going to be talking about signage as one
Yeah.
of the pieces of work for this committee
Yeah,
when we
no.
come to.
Yeah, but that's part of the town
item
trail,
nine.
that's what I'm saying. There really is a town trail,
Yeah.
where we've got a lot of broken,
Yes,
missing bits.
yes, but that would come up under item 9.
I thought we talked about new signage.
Yes, but we
Okay.
can talk about that under item
Okay.
9. Okay. So we've decided, as far as I've congratulated you, we've decided what to do about the problem with the Sandwiches Open website, and we might add on, as part of the future work of this committee, a discussion about Airbnb and what it's doing to the town. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you. Okay, so now we turn to item 9, which is attachment 4. Which is trying to, I tried after the last meeting, and I have to say I did it in a great hurry while we were putting the agenda together for this meeting, because it was suggested at the last meeting that we have some sort of table, tabular presentation of the future work of this committee. So very quickly in my squiggly writing I produced something and I apologise for retaining the term moat park. We're basically talking about the town walls, which is what we decided to call that issue at the last meeting. There are some things which I think we should talk about in a bit more detail. Home insulation, if we could just go through them. Home insulation, I thought perhaps it would take 1 year. That was the project that I was thinking that Councillor Mallet and who else was the other person?
I think Councillor Carter was.
Councillor Carter would take charge of. And that's about getting, talking to Woolburn and finding out what they've got and whether it's applicable here. And the feasibility of that.
Certainly South Sandwich.
Yes.
Yes.
So is that all right? Would
Yes,
you like a year?
Well, I think a year into next winter.
No.
Winter following, yes.
No.
Can I just make one comment here
Yeah.
with regard to insulation? Whether we as a committee can press for more of an open approach by the planning people with regard to suitable double glazing in listed properties.
Well, actually, that's what I put down as the second item, consultation with DDC, re-home insulation in conservation area.
Yes.
Because that seems to me to be essential. We need to talk to them about it, and hopefully they will come to the next meeting of this committee. Okay, so Councillor Black, Councillor Ripley, Councillor Schuker.
First of all, can I say it is not just in the conservation area. There are many listed properties outside the conservation area, and by golly, some of us had run-ins with the DDC in the past.
Yeah.
I think it is on any listed building.
Okay, let's change that. Shall we change that writing with that title? Consultation with DDC. Re-home insulation on listed buildings. Yes, fine. Councillor Schuker? Or Councillor?
Well, no, I was, okay. I was only going to mention the fact that with DDC planning, it is virtually impossible to get them to respond to you. We've had a query with them at my own home for over a year about a major problem within our listed house, and that we've had no response whatsoever.
No.
So I think it's going to be a hard task.
Well, I put down 3 months because I thought we need to
Best
confront
of
them.
luck.
Councillor
That's
Schuker.
quite a nice segue to what I was going to suggest, is that going through this list is fine. I think setting timescales ahead of actually scoping out what it is that's within the scope of each of these projects is ambitious. So I was going to suggest is that anybody that signs up to lead any of these efforts could come, and I've just mocked up a scope template. It's just one page, 4 or 5 questions, where we come back and so we as a group know what it is, because you've mentioned home insulation, you've mentioned buildings all over the place, you've mentioned infrared. What is the scope of home insulation? Because we've got 2 projects nudging up against each other about home insulation. I'd like us to have back a sheet from whoever's leading these with the 3 or 4 questions answered, what the scope of what it is they're going to do. So we can say, yeah, that's right, and that gives the time for the person who leads it just to give some reflection on timescales.
Okay.
And within, one of the questions is, who are the key people you need to engage with? What's the scope? What's out of scope? And then the purpose. Well, the purpose is already listed here, so it's only those questions, Claire, and I think it would help us to say, actually, this is what we're going at, because other people out of this room, some of us in this room, might misinterpret what's actually in the scope of each of these projects.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
And
very
I'm happy to
helpful.
share that to
Very
Jill. She can then send it out.
Yes.
It's simple, but whoever walks away from here should
Yes.
be able to think about what it is they've actually signed up to do.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to run through them, and then, because I'm not convinced, I think at the end of the last meeting we decided we wanted to do all of these things, except 1 or 2 things have been added. I'm not convinced that we can do all of these things, and I think we are going to have to be very selective and say we'll do 3 and then we'll do another 3, and so on. So signage in town, which Councillor Franklin has already raised, the signage I think we all accept is absolutely hopeless, and is part of the, our needs as far as tourism is concerned, and any visitor in fact. I met some people in the foyer downstairs the other day, and they said, it's taken us ages to find where we can find tourist information. We didn't know there was a door here. And I thought, well, this is actually quite well signed, but they were complaining. So that's another important issue, and I'm beginning to eyeball Councillor Franklin as possibly taking a lead on that, since you've expressed an interest.
It's a simple thing like Short Street, and you go down Short Street from the High Street, big arrow says left, and there's people that live up right up St Peter Street, and so it should really have a big arrow left, a smaller arrow right, shouldn't it? You know what I mean?
All sorts of
A lot of people don't realise they can go right.
Yes. Okay, parking in Sandwich North and Sandwich South. Councillor Marie, I think you said that you would take that on.
Yeah, so I did say I'd take it on. I've been working since then. I emailed you last night, so briefly had a detailed discussion with parking services, head of parking services at Dover District Council. Explain the parking charges in the town and how bad they are. I have arranged a meeting, not set a date yet, to see if we can bring to DDC Cabinet that change in the tariff in Market Street to give 20 minutes free, so people can pop into the post office or the doctors, etc. And then after that, it'll be paid as it is at the moment. Regarding the other thing is the small business Saturdays that I want to do once a month that I've been trying to achieve the last 2 years. Now, I have it on good authority from DDC that the front car park of the Guildhall is owned by DDC, the back part of the car park nearest the road walk is owned by STC. Now, they said that they're quite happy to put a proposal in with us, and they said I would have to put in a proposal with Sandwich Council first, beforehand, to see if what can be done. However, there will be a cost implication because it's part of the revenue is part of our budget, town council's budget, so that needs to be spoken about. So I'm going to put that forward to the Finance and General Purchases Committee.
Okay, that's good, thank you. That's an advance. So we're beginning to identify leaders. So for home insulation, we've got Councillor Mallet and Councillor Carter. But we need to do a scoping to make certain that they don't tread on the toes. I had in mind that consultation with DDC could be this whole committee, because hopefully they'll turn up here, they'll be invited, and we'll spring it on them.
they'll know now.
They will though. Yeah. But I mean, I really do think that this is a major issue, and so would people be happy with that? That we raise it in the first instance when they come, assuming that they do come, and this would be the heritage person and the
Heritage officer.
The heritage.
And somebody from the conservation team, is it David, the planning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can you just clarify exactly what we're springing on?
Well, that it is impossible to get planning in Dover to agree to proper home installation on listed buildings, because they say that that heritage trumps their definition of conservation is heritage. The world's definition of conservation is concerned about the climate. So we need to get that shifted, I feel personally, very strongly, that it should be possible to insulate listed buildings in this town, and currently it's not allowed. Mrs. George.
No, I was just going to say that you're talking here about people taking a lead,
Yes.
but taking a lead in terms of two people taking a lead is fine, but you can do that as well as then have Dover planning people down here and an onslaught from everyone. But you've also got the backup of having named people who are then going to take that piece forward.
Well, I feel very strongly about this, so I'm happy to lead on that issue, unless somebody else would like to. Signage, I think Councillor Franklin has already.
Well done.
Too slow stepping
Yeah. I mean, you won't actually need to do this immediately for some of these things, because I just don't think we've got resources to do it. Councillor Marie has already started with parking, so you continue to take the lead.
May I ask,
Yeah.
what aspects of Sandwich South parking are we looking at? I mean, it's a critical issue, as Councillor Marie knows, and what aspects are being looked at there?
We have discussed will have to take place with DDC as well, because it's DDC land and KCC Highways land, obviously, so we'll have to have a conversation with them. The idea that's floated around is residential parking bays. However, that's a cost to the residents, and I don't see that appropriate for the people in that area. The only other thing, I do know that some lines, the HIP report had some lines, I don't know if Carol can elaborate a bit, there was lines being put around certain areas around there, so to stop them. But also, this works well with the speeding part of this as well, so which is the conversation taken about putting chicanes in, because the DDC won't allow speed humps because they damage the road and damage buildings. So the chicanes putting in stop parking, stop speeding as well. So it's all muddled up, but it's working in there. So it's slowly getting
that's
there.
fine, because I mean, obviously, I get it in the neck for
Yeah.
1 million.
I live
And
central
right in the middle,
so
and who knows at the our drop-in session we get whether we get inundated.
Sorry, the speeding, the parking in the south as well as the north is still a major issue.
Yes.
I mean, if you read the Facebook pages, people are saying, well, you can park free if you go to certain roads in another part of the town, and this isn't this is not the answer, because and you know, residents are now parking in some of these places because they're paying a residence fee but can't always get to where they want to get to as well. So this will be another problem on Tuesday, won't it? When we've got half the car park shut here, and we've got half of Market Street closed from 8 till 8 for processions. So in terms of businesses, parking is, and the cost, it's a major problem. But if we go back to the HIP report, yes, we managed to get sort of, I think, six places where residents had requested either yellow lines, double yellow lines, or no lines at all, or whatever. They did eventually get done, but that HIP report is 2018.
Yeah.
It needs to be looked at. It needs to be brought to the surface
Yeah.
and gone through again to decide what the priorities should be. And I doubt very much if you did that HIP report, if you did that survey again, I doubt very much that much would have changed, because there's I don't know who has it, but I've got the initial report that the town team created from the HIP report that went to Craig McKinley's team. Well, he wasn't there because he was suffering with his his expenses problem. But we did have Councillor Chandler and Councillor Holloway that took that. Now we're going back years, and it really, I think residents have a right to think we filled it all in good.
Yeah, I have talked a number of times with Jill about the HIP report. It isn't a living document at the moment.
No.
It is up for discussion about where it sits. Jill might want to intervene on that point. I've got a request from a resident, as you know, who wants to bring something for the HIP report. So that's why I've got involved. A very good initiative that actually KCC have endorsed, albeit we have to look at the cost and decide whether to pay for it. So there is something I want to put on a HIP report, but when I saw it, it's all greyed out.
If I may, I just, sorry if I may, Chair, the property, the pharmacy, wine bar, if you know, it got hit by lorries, and Councillor Chandler and some of the KCC officers, that's exactly what they emailed to, I think it's myself and the town clerk, and they said, we can't put any safeguarding for the building, so what we suggest is that it goes on to the Sandwich HIP report, and Sandwich will have to pay for it when it comes up to be done. Well, as Mrs. George quite rightly said, I mean, the HIP report talked about 2018. The last email I've got of anything off that HIP report coming up was 2020, and that was for one set of double yellow lines. Don't put anything on the HIP report unless you live in Wingham, because in the time that we've had a few double yellow lines and single yellow lines, Wingham has had a 20-mile-an-hour limit, and it's had a new pedestrian crossing, and it's had parking. It's parking upgraded as well.
Although the initiative that I'm talking about isn't that one, because the gentleman who raised it actually came to me first.
Indeed,
it's a separate initiative which actually KCC have endorsed. So in theory, they've actually opened the door for it to go through the HIP process for us to go to them. So they've already, but this gentleman has spent 3 years engaging with KCC on it, so he's done all the legwork rather than the HIP report driving it. So we have got an initiative which KCC are saying they want to support.
Good.
So the HIP report needs to be reinvigorated, because we have got at least one idea that I think we might want to go somewhere with it.
Can I just add, just finally, because Mrs. George and I are probably the only ones that were here, was the HIP report was produced, and it was produced, we were asked for 15 urgent items originally. When we got to the very first meeting with Councillor Chandler, with her advisor, I think it's Louise Winch, and we were told you can't have 15, you can have 5. But when we walked out of that meeting, at the end of that evening, we were told one item will be done per financial year.
Yes, that's my understanding. So I've got one.
Isn't suitable.
That's why we put the five or six yellow lines together, because actually they were classing those as individual items. So we put them together and said, surely you're not going to send a lorry down just to do one line. So we did get those grouped together. But that report, I think, has got, is it 52 items on it? It's a huge number of, or it had.
No, it's got no open items. Sorry, from the version I've seen, there are no open items on it.
I'm going to have a look at how to see if I've got
Please
hard
do. Please
copies
do.
somewhere.
Well, I mean, I know that Jill and I have had a conversation about reviewing the HIP and whether it's most appropriate at this committee or possibly at the planning committee. I think she and I are in agreement that perhaps there's a lot of work to do in this committee and that maybe you should go to the planning committee. So yes, if you would like to.
Yes, so I'm literally, basically, I'm reviewing the terms of reference for committees at the moment. So I've got to bring that to council because obviously members need to agree those terms of reference. But my proposal at the moment is to look at, with the highway improvement plan, because usually it's planning and highways would go together. And obviously that's for members to decide, so it's not something that is set in stone, obviously, it's just an idea. And I was talking to Councillor Ongerson, and I hadn't had the conversation yet with Councillor Franklin, but I will be.
But
Yeah,
also
that.
it has implications for, you know, if the HIP report, which obviously came out of work done by the town team, is then shifted to a committee where I'm not sure there is anybody who's active on the town team.
Yes, we have one of our members is co-opted member
Yeah,
on
yeah.
there.
So it would, it could work.
Yeah.
It could work. But I mean, the HIP report is already, it seems to be a black hole. And, you know, things descend into it and nothing happens. And I don't want that to continue. So it's, you know, the planning committee would really have to grasp it with both hands and do something about it. And they would have to agree to that, obviously. Otherwise, we'll have to do it. Okay. I don't know if it's helpful to continue to go through this list and trying to find people who will take responsibility for them. I mean, the tree planting and the town walls, I mean, I see that as an ongoing issue. That's why I put 2 years. And it seems to me that perhaps, I don't know, do we need a leader? I mean, the voluntary tree warden, Nicky Warden, seems to be doing a very, very good job in leading us and getting together volunteers and scouts and, you know, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, students from the schools and so on. And I just wonder whether we need a councillor to lead it. I think Nicky's doing a very good job. Yeah.
I mean, there is no problem without having a lead, because as you say, a volunteer tree warden is very competent and does drive progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
and I don't disagree with that, but what would be really helpful is getting some form of a report from Nikki, because actually, without knowing what she's striving to do, we can't support her fully.
No.
Secondly, we can be unaware of what's happening and approached by residents and we have no knowledge at all,
No.
and then something happens the next day. So it would be really good to be informed as a group of people, because I know she's got some really good things in train,
Absolutely.
and I'd like to know what those are and their timescales.
I have to say that she phoned me and said that she had a very busy timetable and that she would be able to produce a report for the January meeting of this committee. Is that right?
Yes, because she does actually provide a report to the planning committee currently. She hasn't this month, but she does normally. So I'm happy to share that with Heritage and Townscape as well.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any visibility of those reports.
I think we need to look at areas where trees can be planted as well, because I know there's a footpath that goes down to St George's, you know, over the White Bridge. And I think the land belongs to United Charities. And I did chat to the chair, because a lot of trees have fell down along there, you know, it used to be a lovely avenue.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, well, we just have to have a word with the farmer, you know, the town farmer. So I have to have a word with the tree warden and see whether it'd be a suitable place, but some more trees like that avenue to St George's.
Yes. The reports of the planning committee, are they not on individual planning proposals and their impact on trees?
Majority of the time, but sometimes she does give updates as well. So I'm happy to share
But
those.
what we need is reports about her future projects in terms of tree planting, tree maintenance and so on. And that's what I understood we were asking her for. And that she has indicated won't be available until January, the January meeting of this committee. I think community bus is my personal, I'm very interested in thinking about a community bus, but I'm quite happy not to. I mean, it's sort of low down, I think. Yes.
There was a scheme previously that was a community bus.
There was a proposal, but it came from an outside organisation, and there was some research done on what might be involved. And there was talk of the age concern vehicle being used, but that I don't think.
They do bring people in for a meal age concern and get their hair done and chiropodist and a hearing clinic and different things.
Yes.
I think this is one, if you're going to look at it, you really need to scope it out and really have first look at, because community bus means so many things to different people.
Yes.
You can get some very high-tech solutions, which are really very flexible, which is maybe what we need.
Yes.
Or you can just have, and I don't want to sort of denigrate age concern thing, but you know, there's a lot more that can be done. But this needs to be scoped out.
Yes,
And the other issue is funding, because you've got some, as we all know that transport does not come free, and it's an expensive option.
But there are grants. I think
There are grants, but it's also continuing maintenance and provision of it, and how you call a community bus.
Yes.
It needs to be scoped.
Yes, absolutely. But if somebody were willing to do that.
This is the guy.
This is the trouble, if you speak in this
I'll scope it. That does not mean to say I will take it beyond that. But I think I need a couple of months to scope it.
Oh yes, absolutely, yes. But that would be really helpful. Thank you. The Heritage Harbour and Quay development, which Councillor Shuker has already mentioned, there is a consultancy report, which we at long last got access to, and I hope we've all looked at it. But it's a complicated document with complicated implications. So whoever took it on would have to talk to a lot of stakeholders. Councillor Marie.
I do feel for this one, it's quite a big one, so I do feel that as a whole, the whole committee would take part in this one. Obviously we've got expertise from Councillor Gray and also the medieval trust that are on the quay as well, so maybe working with them as the stakeholders and the harbour master, etc., working as a group to see what we can do as a group.
That's a good idea. That unless people think that we're working grouped out, that it might be an area where we should have a working group.
There was a Port Haven commissioners, don't forget, isn't there?
Yeah,
there was a Port Haven commissioners that were
yes,
going to the river. But the trouble is, it's money. It's all about money, and at the end of the day, there is no money.
Well, there are. I always feel, out there is money for this kind of development.
But we've got
if
a
we
meeting.
put in the right application.
But we've got the meeting soon with the Environment Agency, haven't we?
Have we?
Well, the Gates and Salts have.
Yes.
Gates and Salts have got a meeting coming up, haven't they? So we're going to go at them about it, can't we? Yeah, not Gates, Monks Fall. Yeah.
But that's nothing to do with the Heritage Harbour and Quay development.
I think the key development is going to be BBC led anyways. And
It is, exactly, and that's what I was going to say, was that this report is quite an extensive report. Will it ever, I'm sorry, I'm not being pessimistic, but will it get off the ground, because it involves significant investment? But actually, we are a stakeholder. We are going to be driving this, so we really need to be finding out, I suppose, is what are the intentions from DDC's perspective, particularly they have a host of priorities. Is this somewhere near the top? Because if it's not going to start, for example, for 2 or 3 years, we're not ready to be primed on it. So I don't really know. We've got a piece of paper with a lot of pages, but we don't know quite how it's going to be put into action.
I think we need to also just bear in mind that the vision for Sandwich, which has eventually got here with the forecourt, that was part 1. The new vision for Sandwich, which is actually part 2, is all about the quay. And Dover have, if you like, picked this up the same way that Dover picked up the vision for Sandwich. I mean, actually, the vision for Sandwich came from, if you like, the town team and Sandwich Town Council, and maybe had it been left there, we might not have had all the issues, the expense and so on, but it went to Dover and it got led by Dover, and then it reinvented the wheel. Now, the new vision for Sandwich is the key, and that is really part of what was supposed to link the town up. So whether or not Dover was just saying, yes, it's too expensive, or whether it is somewhere on their priority list, and STC can, as a stakeholder, have some influence, I think we should at least be finding out.
Yes, I agree.
So I think this is yet another task for the town clerk to write to DVC, who I'm not quite sure which department commissioned that report, but
I'll start with the estates team, because I
okay.
think, yeah.
So if you could write to whoever you think is the appropriate person, it could be the chief executive, because it obviously was a heavyweight report, for which they paid a considerable amount of money. So you might write to him and say, and copy to other people. So what, where is this on your priorities?
May can I, if you allow me to, Councillor, can we add to that and ask Councillor Morehouse to speak to the leader? Because obviously the administration's changed within the council now as well.
Yes, that's a very good idea. Thank you. Okay. So that's as far as we can go at the moment, and then we'll come back to seeing whether we need to set up a working group or whatever, or engage with Dover in some way, or hopefully they will see that we are. I mean, I think we have to make it clear to DVC that we want movement in this area. Okay, we've talked about the HIP, and this was the specific issue that I put down speeding in the HIP because, as Councillor Chuko has already said, a Sandwich resident and active member of the town team has spent 3 years trying to persuade and now succeeding in getting KCC's agreement to set up some speeding signs. Is that right? Illuminated speeding
It's a
signs.
mobile speed indicator device.
Sid.
See, that's it.
Right, it's mobile.
It's mobile.
Yeah,
And
train.
that was the whole debate, and that's
So
why it's
somebody
taken
has
3
to
years.
hold it.
No,
No, it can be moved around.
They change it to a lamppost.
Yeah, you have brackets on trees or lampposts where you can place it on the bracket and then move it to a different bracket. Woodensborough's just had theirs nicked. So
That is the
if
risk.
you get one
That's
off
the
it
risk.
too,
we're cheap. There's a train that's changing to the lamppost.
Oh dear.
Okay, well, I mean, I think this Simon Byers is to be congratulated.
He is.
It's amazing that an individual could bring this off, even though it's taken 3 years.
3
years and trying to get a lead, because he was the leader on the
Yes.
town team, and he was having a speed watch group and so on, but
Yeah,
yeah, he did an amazing job.
There's one in
So-
High Street. There's one on High
Yes, there
Street,
is.
isn't
There is. There is.
that's the only one.
there?
Yeah, there's one by the technology school as well, but it
Oh,
only
yeah.
comes on during the school hours.
Okay.
So,
So how should we proceed with this? Again, I think the town clerk should find out from Simon Byers, who to
No,
talk to at KCC and
Yeah,
get
I'm
these
already
things.
liaising with him.
Okay,
He's on holiday. When he comes back, between the two of us, I will bring a report
okay,
probably to STC because it involves financial expenditure too.
Yes.
So
so you'll bring it to the town council or to
yeah,
the
to get,
finance and
to
general
town
council?
council to get it agreed, and then it will be taken to wherever responsibility sits for the head.
Okay, very good. So for the moment, we're leaving it with Councillor Schuker, and we don't have to bother leaving it for the moment. Okay.
Just remember that obviously the council agreed to join the 2020 scheme again, so that's still running, still active, and the signs are still out as well.
Okay, yes. Bike racks. Yes, Councillor Carter.
That's the same I will volunteer for. So
Brilliant.
I will nail my colours to the mast. Yeah, this is something being Colin Wiles, Councillor Wiles isn't here. Obviously, Councillor Wiles and myself use our bicycles on a regular basis, and if you're in the town on a Saturday or Sunday, it's actually getting dangerous now because, for instance, in King Street, a lot of the cyclists go to the local cafes in No Name Street and King Street. And what's actually happening on very busy, sunny weekends, cyclists are just piling their bicycles against, say, St Peter's Garden, the wall there, and sometimes they're 2 or 3 deep, so they're actually blocking the pavements and pathways. So people with buggies, pushchairs, or disabled, wheelchairs just can't get by. There's a massive need for cycle racks in the town, and I have taken this up personally myself with Councillor Chanda on several occasions, but she's never sort of come back with a solution. So I'm happy to follow up on this, but 6 months, you'd be lucky to get a reply out of KCC in 6 months.
And that's why I think you need to do a scoping of it. But what I would also ask is, could you, sorry, it's your project.
That's it.
Within your scope, could you actually survey what bike racks are out there? Because
Indeed,
there are
that's
quite
what
a
I
bit,
was.
but maybe they're in the wrong place.
They are.
The issue all about King, there may be, only maybe.
Yeah, people put planters in front of it.
And
What are you doing?
with King Street, you may not be able to solve the problem because there are bike racks there, as you know, but only a small number, and you find it difficult to actually put more bike racks possibly, and again, I'm not managing the project on that street.
I'm quite knowledgeable about this because I have interviewed several of the cyclists, so when I've actually met them, I've got photographs on here actually, when I've met them I've discussed it with visiting cyclists. But of course, unfortunately, the majority of them, I mean, in my day, I used to buy a bicycle for £150. The cycles that people buy nowadays are 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. So they don't want to leave them in sort of very obscure parts of the town. So the cycle racks, one of the criteria for the scoping would be that the cycle racks will either be within the CCTV or somewhere where they're visible, for a heavy footfall, so somebody can question why that bicycle is being wrenched out.
Absolutely.
There were bicycle racks in No Name Street, in the corner there, but I don't know what happened to
They're
them.
still there, aren't they? No one uses
But
them.
no one ever uses them.
Yeah, I do. I use them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
only
think, I think that's the discussion
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
let's not.
Councillor Carter needs to lead on. The other thing I would mention, and it's only because it's only recently occurred to me, is that we might hope that people will use increasingly bikes to go to the station, and storage at the station for bikes, very secure storage. And I was told last night by a cyclist that Ashford Station absolutely sets the paradigm, and so we need to find out what Ashford Station is doing. So that's,
Got a cycle there.
okay, so bike racks should also include storing bikes.
indeed.
Yeah.
So, but can I have this potential timescale is totally inaccurate?
Yeah.
It's your project, isn't it? So you can decide what.
Yes. Okay.
A minimum of a year.
Electric charging points. Now, Town Clerk has recently given me a document which is about a company that provides electric charging points for town councils. There we go. And it's all terribly government approved, and I don't think they've got government funding, but anyway, they are providing electric charging points in precisely this kind of town, as far as I can see.
Yes.
I don't know whether we want to how we want to advance this. I mean, I could find nothing about the costs.
And the revenue stream. And the revenue stream.
And the revenue, but there would be a revenue stream for us.
Can I ask,
So it would be an
how
investment.
many are there currently charging points
Well,
in
we
town?
need somebody to taken
Yeah.
up.
I think there's about 6 or 7. I mean, there's some in New Street, and then there's some in the cattle market. The only issue you've got, of course, is that it then reduces the number of ordinary parking bays. It's a difficult balance.
There's a number in Gaze and Salts.
Are there? Oh yes, there are.
That they're hardly ever used. So what also is happening is promoting that they are as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's some in Discovery Park.
Well, they talk about, you know, how they can get little machines in residential streets and so on. So, I mean, I don't know whether, I mean, this would be a lot of work for somebody. I don't know if there's anybody who would like to take this further, or whether we should leave it for the moment. What do you think? Anybody?
I'll wait for a change of government next year
Yes,
to see.
change of
what
government will need it, will need
current
more
government, the
electric
current government aren't investing in this, are they?
No, they
I think my personal opinion is it is a good idea. It is a good idea for electric vehicle charging. However, there are far more bigger priorities in the town that we need to address before we think about more. Because there are 6 in the town plus more in Gaze and Salts. So I think that there's better priorities for the town than electric vehicle charging.
And also the fact that it's moved back to 2035.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the success of this will be driven from central government, because
Yes.
it will never happen without central government investments
No.
and a programme of implementation.
Yeah.
So we're not going to solve the problem ourselves.
Okay, so we'll
It does actually tie in also with this whole issue about conservation area and listed buildings, because they will not allow you to put anything on a listed building, even though, you know, there are certain people with great advantage of using electric vehicles in the town. And that, I think, should also be a question that we ask DDC, well, where are you going on this?
yes. Okay, that's a good idea.
They're coming, the cars themselves are being now made with charging points on the top of the bonnet, so that people can bring them not across a street,
Down from a window.
but perhaps across from a window, or down from a now that would, yeah, well, you know, but there's a frame, I think, that takes them out and down.
Yes.
But
Which would make sense in an area like
if you could park outside your house.
And then conservation area, to list it.
Okay, so I've just noticed Jill has written park that, which is a very good pun. Okay, the Slowways National Walking Network. Now, Jill, perhaps you could just explain what that is, because it was added on late.
Yes.
But because I thought it looked interesting, then I can do my homework.
Okay. So we've been contacted. There's something called Slowways National Walking Network. And what they're asking is to get the community properly connected to the Slowways National Walking Network. They want to invite the council to contribute to the creation of Slowways. It's an ambitious, crowdsourced, community-verified national walking network that connects all of Britain's towns, cities and national parks. It boosts walking and wheeling and remains a top priority for all councils. Slowways is a great resource to help you achieve that goal. It's supported by the National Lottery Community Fund, and their mission is to make it easier for people to walk and wheel between places. They've got a network of recommended and trusted routes, and that's key to unlocking this project. And the council and the community have the power to help. So basically they're asking for contribution to the Slowways Walking Network, because this will not only help the council and community across multiple agendas, which includes health and well-being, connecting people and communities, climate emergency, active travel, tourism, leisure, culture and heritage, accessing nature, planning, levelling up, cost of living, happiness and joy. They're the things like this. Citizens from across the country have already drafted 9,000 routes that stretch for over 80,000 miles. Now these routes need to be checked on the ground to make sure they're good enough for people to follow. And councils are uniquely positioned to help with that challenge. So far, 1 in 5 slowways have been checked and verified by people across the country, and this is an incredible collective achievement. They now need help to scale up the national effort and verify the whole network. Each route requires at least 3 positive reviews and a survey for it to become part of the Slowways trusted network. And the aim is to every place in the network to be 100% checked. Once that's happened, then there will be a jointly created a national network that everyone can use. And every place in the network has a place page like Kimberley does. There's a link there, sorry. So you can search for your local town to see what's going on. So you can actually search for Sandwich. I've done it. So there is a toolkit to discover how and why you can help. And also you can choose one of the suitable routes from the Slowways website, or as they've got an app as well for iPhones. You can walk the route and leave a review. And you can do this on your own, or better still, organise a day for the community or parish to walk all of the Slowways in your area. So they've approached us and asked us to share this message, which I think is really incredible. They've asked if we could add it to an agenda on a committee or a council meeting, which is what I'm doing here. And also they're saying if we do want to get involved, they want us to keep them up to date with the progress of what we're doing with Slowways. And there is a newsletter as well, Friends of Slowways. So I just thought it was quite interesting, and I said to Councillor Robinson, I thought it would be quite interesting to bring that to this committee.
Yeah.
For
Can you
consideration.
read that through again, please, so that I can just
Sorry?
take that in? Could you read
Yes.
it through again? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so Councillor Black, Councillor Tupier, and then I'll say something.
Well, the first question is, how does this relate to rights of way and public footpaths, which we know are already under threat, and they're disappearing. And unless we do something as a community, we will lose more and more and more. So I'm not sure how this links in. I would imagine it has to, unless you're going to be walking along roads, which kind of defeats the object of the exercise.
On water.
Yeah, it does require to walk on water, you know.
One of the routes.
But that ties in with that. And that is our real priority, more to protect the existing footpaths rather than to do this. I don't know the answer to that, and I don't have an opinion on it, but it is a major threat. And unless a lot more footpaths are recognised, PEQ will lose them. And that's the government policy.
Yeah, I think this can only help things. I think, you know, mapping out walks and actually supporting this sort of initiative can only help with that sort of issue. I think it will highlight, you know, the walks that there are, and hopefully once they're recorded, more people know about them, more people use them, and that should hopefully.
Might I just add, it's not just footpaths, it's right-of-ways and green lanes as well we need to think of.
So my first question would be around the actual existence of this. Did anybody know about it before it was raised? So there's a first question about how much focus has got, legitimacy, how's it going to be promoted. So there are a number of trails, a number of walks all over the country that are advertised for different reasons, some historical, some tied into particular sports that people are involved in, etc., etc. So there's a whole map of walks. I've looked on their site. It looks okay, but I just don't know what's behind it, so it needs a bit of investigation. One of the routes it suggested does go across water, so that's interesting. Hopefully it hasn't been verified yet, but there are 6 walks from Sandwich that they've identified, and I don't know whether these are existing walks that already are commonly known, or whether they're ones that somebody's just sat down and thought that might be a nice walk for people to do. So I think we need some thought about
Well,
this.
it's interesting because I haven't looked at their website, but I am a member of the Wingham Footpaths Group, which does walk round here.
Yes.
And it seemed to me to be the ideal sort of project for the Wingham Footpaths Group. I haven't consulted with them at all. And there must be other footpaths groups, I would have thought, in Sandwich, but I don't know about
Is that 10 o'clock on Wednesdays group?
Yes, there is that group, isn't there?
Yes, oh, so there's another group, yes.
No, Wingham Footpaths,
Okay.
we walk on Sundays.
Yeah, there's another group every Wednesday,
Every
10
Wednesday
o'clock.
outside.
Says it in here.
Yes.
Ramblers
So
Association.
there are groups around who could be engaged with this.
And some of these walks look incredibly long, actually.
They do, yes.
You know, we're wondering what sort of age group could tackle this, because one goes to Canterbury, and one goes to wherever that
Barrow,
is.
is it?
Barrow.
Barrow,
Yeah.
Goodness me.
So they're
We're
quite.
talking-
We're not talking about an afternoon stroll.
No, no, we're talking about overnight accommodation.
But I think you also mentioned wheels, didn't you, in that spiel from.
Yes, it's
So
there is cycling,
obviously,
yes.
yeah, it's
I was thinking
Just
personally with the
walking.
wheels is we could branch this out possibly to the disability access group because
Yes.
wheelchairs, that's what I was thinking when I said wheels.
Yes, but that's
It's
not
very
going to be
walking.
from Sandwich to
We
Barrow.
went a long way to do it.
Sorry.
Well, does anybody want to pick this up and go and have a proper look at it?
I don't. I'm just wondering, because someone's just mentioned the group at Manwoods. Now, wouldn't this
There's
be
a
a
walking
really
group
good, is there a walking group from Manwoods, school?
I don't know.
There used to be, because actually, one of the schools that could actually take this as a
Yes,
massive project,
Absolutely.
because they'd be able to map it out, test it, look at
Yes.
the routes and do some research, so it might be something they could include in a project, one of their school projects, I don't know,
Yeah.
for the environment.
But somebody has to take, if we're going to do this, somebody has to take it and run with it.
You
Is
walk
there a
Big
time?
green.
I don't think it's a particular time frame, but I think obviously they want people to get involved as soon as possible. I think it's
So
quite
Can we
going.
not send that to Manwoods and to the technology school and just ask if this is something that they would take on?
That's a good idea.
Just wondering what the taking on is. Is it getting the routes right, or is it looking for new routes, or doing? Because Jill mentioned images, descriptions, and the like. Is it doing that? Because having a quick glance, getting the routes right is certainly something that they would need to do around here. Because
So what I think it is, doing a very quick survey, it's like a crowdsourcing activity. So it's about, let's build a network, bottom up, around the country of routes that people can then access to then do. So I think it's very organic. We can contribute to it, we would need verification of the routes that they've identified for Sandwich. There are 6. And it needs a number of people to validate those routes as sensible routes or otherwise. So I think it's very organic, and it's whether there's an appetite to
Is
do
there a
that.
time scale to this? Has it got to be a certain time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's not a
No,
particular
it's-
time scale. It's organic. Yeah, it's just really to bring it to your attention if it's something that you would like to share, whether you would think that the committee have any scope to do anything like this, or whether, as Carol George suggested, it's shared out to the schools. I mean,
I think that's a very good idea, but I think also, well, as a council, obviously, have I got a copy of that document? Did you send it to all of us?
I haven't, but I will do.
Yes, because then I could send it on to the Wing and Footpaths group people, and this other group that meets on Wednesday mornings. I don't know what group that is. Do you
No,
think?
it's the Wednesday walkers, isn't it?
It's
The Wednesday walkers.
It's
to
the
do with-
Wednesday walkers.
It's to do with national health, because it's to do with
Right.
people.
Okay. Well, I don't know quite how we contact them, but
It's in here at about 10 o'clock.
Yes.
They got it wrong.
okay. Okay, so what I think we've done here is we have sorted out some projects which people are going to take charge of, and Councillor Shuko is going to send us the scope of
Yeah, I can do that. But I had one other project I wanted to put in the mix,
Okay.
and I'm happy to take ownership for.
Right.
I think street furniture.
Oh, yes.
So we've got some material already, I believe, but I would be happy to do the project should be about surveying what we've got.
Yes.
So we then have got a list of all the items that we think should be looked at,
Yes.
to then engage with DDC and hopefully get it onto their work programme.
Yes.
We've talked
Very
about
good
street
idea.
furniture in many ways already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could I just ask, when you say street furniture,
I mean,
do different people use
yeah,
different
we must go through documents.
So it's not sort of no entry signs. Which
No,
is
no,
also
no, no,
very
no,
bad.
it's not
Okay.
signs, it's benches,
Yes.
it's,
Ah.
yeah.
And the
Kind of you can
bollards.
sit on.
Yes.
The bollards.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The bollards.
Proposal.
Dear me.
Yeah.
I think, okay, I think that's enough. That's enough. Okay, I think we've done that. Because we,
Yeah, I have to leave because I've got an airport run at 3 o'clock in the
Okay,
morning. I
okay,
get off at
okay.
3, so I've
Yes.
got to go, so I
Thank you.
apologise.
okay, we've got, I think, one more big item, which is this green infrastructure document. Is that right? Is that the next one?
Consultation, yeah.
The consultation.
DDC.
So, this is item 10. The town clerk shared details of the DDC public consultation on the draft Dover District Green Infrastructure Strategy, which I understand is every district council is being asked to develop. The consultation runs for a period of 6 weeks from Tuesday the 3rd of October, so we're already in the consultation period, to Tuesday the 14th of November. And attachment 5, if you click on the links, you get to the document itself. Oh no, attachment 5 is the one of the documents, not both of them, I think. Not the, well, I'm not sure. I've already had somebody write to me saying there are interesting things about sandwich, and indeed there are. I don't know if you've managed to look at them. But they've neglected to mention the Delft Stream. I mean, I was wondering whether I could, with perhaps one other councillor, draft a response and then distribute, because we haven't got very much time, have we?
No.
I mean, if we respond to this consultation, we won't have time to meet for the next committee meeting and take it to the council, will we?
No.
No,
So,
no.
no.
That's right, right. No.
So we need to work very hard, but we need the whole council to own it, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, I think, you know, if members agree here in this committee, as you say, there could be a draft written, then that could go to council, you know, for input and feedback on what the draft is. I think that's a really important thing, rather than expecting the council to draft something.
Oh, no, we can't.
Yeah.
No.
I think bringing it here to you now is a better way of approaching this, and giving an opportunity for, like say, people to work on a draft that can then go to council.
Yes. Well, as I say, I'd be happy to be part of any little team that wanted to do that, but I wouldn't want to do it on my own. So, I'm looking. Yes, Councillor Ripley. You would like, that would be great.
And I'd be happy to as well.
Okay.
I've looked through it, so I would envisage if we took a couple of hours where we just turned the pages and identified.
Yes.
Because some are generic, they're the
Yes.
impact sandwich. Some are specific, and they do impact sandwich. So I think that's how we need to.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a big document, it needs a lot of time.
Sorry?
It needs a lot of time to look through.
Yes, it does. So the three of us should find a date when we can just go through it. I have to say I'm going to be away all next week.
So,
That's good. I'm not doing it next week.
But we need it to go to the October the 30th.
The 30th of October.
So we have to produce a report by when for that meeting?
I'm thinking
So it'd be
the
the
Wednesday before
First, so it's
Tuesday,
Wednesday,
before
26th,
25th, 26th.
Yeah.
So, and I'm away from the 16th to the 22nd. Hmm?
oh dear.
Yes.
Can you cancel
Well, maybe
your
I
vote?
shouldn't be involved.
Not really
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Vicky's going to
I don't mind doing, I mean, we could do a loose 4 or make it 3.
Or make it 3. But Lynn, you said you were going to be away as well.
Yes, we're away for 5 days from this Saturday, back on Thursday.
Right.
Would you take it on holiday with you?
Yeah, Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Take it on holiday with you?
We could look at a day before we leave.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I might have to withdraw, and the 3 of you do it.
Friday the 20th.
Does that give us enough time
Friday
to
the
put something
20th.
together?
Yeah, well, you're not back at all.
No. I mean, I'm sure that's really the darndest thing, I suppose, in all its way.
Okay, so perhaps leave it to the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Of Councillor Ripley, Councillor Shuker and Councillor Tommins. Okay.
And we have to have it done by the 21st, would be fine.
So meeting on the 31st, so
The
working.
25th.
That's 5, yes, because the agenda goes up on a Wednesday before the meeting on Monday.
So Wednesday is the 25th, yes.
Yeah.
Friday the 20th.
I think that's okay.
Okay, and meantime, if councillors have ideas, they should write, having read the consultation report,
Yes, I think that's exactly
they
right.
should write to the 3 of you. Very good.
Can I just add an add-on?
Yeah.
Just because it wasn't firmly firmed up at the last council meeting, that Councillor Black and myself will be heading the Jubilee Centre piece and councillor drop-in, and just if people approach you, there's a date to be aware of, the 16th of October from 1 o'clock till 2:30. Obviously it's informal with an idea that people, if we do this more regularly, people will get to know they can feed into somewhere where they can communicate with ourselves or the police. So just take your diary, it is on social media.
Is that 16th?
It's Monday the 16th,
Monday the 16th.
and it's at the Jubilee Centre. Yeah.
And
We're not guaranteed, unfortunately, police presence because there's a new police officer coming in, and I don't know her name yet, but the previous police officer is moving to a different area. So we're not quite sure. I've copied him on the poster, and I did write to him and specifically say, can you let us know who the person is and if they'll be able to attend? I really hope they will. And the poster says Kent Police Officer.
I interpret it that he said that he would be attending, but we didn't know who
He would
be.
seek to attend, I think.
Yeah.
He wasn't
You
committed.
can't go further than that.
No.
Thank you.
just very finally, the Environment Agency has started work today on the brewery sluice gate. So that's good news. It is work that's going to run probably to Friday the 10th of November, so it's quite extensive. We've delivered a number of diggers today, so that's going to be lasting for the next 4 weeks or so.
Right, well, that might make a difference to the
Can I just comment that this issue about the police, I think it's a disgrace. We've wasted all this time to get a police officer, and now within months they've changed it. And this is the problem in Sandwich. We've got no enforcement going on at all. And I just think really that as a council we should be you should be protesting, because I think it's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace.
And you're right, Mrs. George, because when the current police officer came in and we had a new council, the town clerk tell you, I invited him in for an interview and brought him in, and I said, right, what can you do for us? How can you help us? Will you be holding surgeries? Will you be attending town council meetings? And I had just literally, yes. Oh yes, I'll be doing this, I'll be doing that. And I wasted a lot of time of explaining different areas, different issues, what sort of crime was happening here. And now we've got to go through all that all over again with somebody else. And how long is this new one going to be in as well? So
I think it's
appalling.
And they
Absolutely
are
appalling.
covering a very wide area, that's
Yes.
the problem.
Yeah.
Deal is a large town enough.
Yeah.
Sandwich is one of the
That's true.
villages that, it's a town, but there's villages that
Yeah.
they're covering as well, so that's a difficulty.
I don't think we should place any criticism on
On
the individual.
No.
Not on the officer himself,
the
no, it's
whole
obviously the
structure.
management.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we've brought the meeting to an end.
Okay.
And the date and time of the next meeting is Monday, the 13th of November 2023.
Can I just ask everyone to stay a minute or have a word when we go offline?
Yeah.
Once it's all turned off, I'll have a confidential word.